Fantasy is the foundational genre. Half the games on PC are fantasy in one form or another. Dragons, swords, dwarves, liches, gods, prophecies, the kingdoms that fall, the bloodlings that rise, the chosen ones who ruin everything. Today, the 8 greatest fantasy games on PC, ranked, no apologies. Judging criteria, world building density, character writing, mechanical depth of the systems built into the fiction, replayability across multiple character builds, and whether the game's fantasy world stuck in your head for years after you stopped playing. Honourable mentions before we start. No FromSoft Soulsborne entries, except Elden Ring on this list, because the rest of the series we cover separately. No Skyrim, because we have an entire video on Skyrim and games like it next week. No Diablo 2 or 4, because they're not on Steam. 8 picks. Number 1 is the genre's gold standard, and I will absolutely die on this hill. Let's get into it. Number 8. WotR. Greedfall. Spider Studio, 2019. The 17th century colonial fantasy RPG from the studio that nobody expected to deliver a real one, and somehow they did. You played as Sade, an envoy sent from Old World Europe to the newly discovered island of Dear Friday, where 3 competing colonial factions, 2 indigenous tribes, and a magical plague are all at war with each other. The combat is functional, the crafting is mid, the animations are stiff. But the writing is the best Spiders has ever done, and the politics are genuinely intricate. Every faction has a reason to hate every other faction. Your alliances shift quest by quest. The companion writing is solid, and the romances earn the late game emotional payoff. The DLC, the Divesp Conspiracy, adds a new island and a new political faction. $40 usually, 10 on sale. The most overlooked CRPG light of its generation. Sliders is now part of Nacon and is making a sequel, so the timing for a first playthrough is perfect. Number 7. Tyranny. Obsidian Entertainment, 2016. The CRPG with the single most ambitious premise in the genre. The evil overlord already won. The game opens with Kairos, the overlord having already conquered the entire world, and your job is to enforce the new order as a fate binder, the magistrate of the conquered lands. The conquest choices system, a pre-game choice tree where you decide how the wars waged years before your character exists, shapes the entire narrative. You can play loyal to Kairos' lieutenants, you can rebel, you can side with the conquered nations, you can become overlord yourself. The combat is real-time with pause, Pillars of Eternity style, decent but not the focus. The writing is the entire point. Obsidian at the height of their political fantasy writing. The Bastard's Wound DLC adds a substantial new area, $30 usually, 5 on sale. Underrated even by Obsidian fans. If you have ever wondered what an evil-aligned TRPG feels like done right, this is it. Number 6. Tata Yuzin Tutu Chick. Dragon Age. Inquisition. Don't. BioWare, 2014. The 3rd Dragon Age, and a real return to form after the divisive Dragon Age 2. You play the Inquisitor, marked by a mysterious magical anomaly that lets you close the rifts tearing the sky apart. And your job is to build the Inquisition, recruit allies, and stop a fallen god. The open zones are huge. The companion roster is one of BioWare's best. Solas, Iron Bull, Dorian, Cassandra, Sierra, Cole, all are deeply written. The combat is action RPG, but the tactical, pose and direct camera is solid. The war table mission system extends playtime over hours of real-world clock time, in a way most people will love or hate. The Trespasser DLC is one of BioWare's best DLCs of all time. $40 usually, 10 on sale. The political consequences of Thedas across 3 games come to a head here. Belgard is divisive, but Inquisition is the safe high-water mark of the Dragon Age series in 2025. Number 5. Dragon Age Origins. BioWare, 2009. The CRPG that defined a decade of party-based fantasy RPG writing. You pick one of 6 origin stories: human noble, Dalish elf, city elf, mage, dwarf commoner, dwarf noble. Each a self-contained playable prologue with completely different opening hours. You're then conscripted into the Grey Wardens, the elite undead slayers of Thedas, and tasked with stopping the Blight, an ancient zombie-style apocalypse from the Deep Road. The tactical combat is real-time with pause, descended directly from Baldur's Gate. The companion writing is some of BioWare's all-time best. Alistair, Morrigan, Wynne, Sten, Liliana, Ogren, the dog. The Origins Ultimate Edition includes Awakening expansion, and all DLC is for $30, often $5 on sale. 16 years later, it is still the cleanest fantasy CRPG entry point for new players. Foundational. Mandatory. Play it before Baldur's Gate 3. So you can see where Larian inherited. Number 4. Dragon's Dogma 2. Capcom 2024. The long-awaited sequel to the cult classic original, and one of the most idiosyncratic action RPGs ever shipped. You play the Arisen, a chosen warrior whose heart was eaten by a dragon, and you build a party of pawns, AI-controlled companions that other players can hire across the multiplayer ecosystem. The vocation system is one of the deepest class systems in any action RPG. Fighter, archer, sorcerer, trickster, mystic spearhand, warfare, and more, each with completely different combat feel. Combat is physics-driven. You climb giant monsters and stab them in weak points. You launch grandiose magic that takes 10 seconds to cast and feels worth every frame. The pawn system makes every party unique. The open world is genuinely huge and properly hostile at night. $60. The criticisms: fast travel is limited by design. The story leaves a lot to interpretation. Are also the features. Dragon's Dogma is unique. Capcom is the only studio still making games this weird at this budget level. Number 3. Ultimate Baldur's Gate 3. Larian Studios 2023. The Game of the Year winner that proved a real Dungeons and Dragons CRPG can sell 10 million copies and dominate the discourse for 2 years straight. You roll a tav. You pick a class from D&D 5th edition. You wake up on a mind flayer ship, and a 100-hour campaign of political intrigue, party drama, and turn-based tactical combat unfolds. Companion writing is genuinely BioWare tier. Astarion, Shadowheart, Karlach, Lae'zel, Will, Gale. Every one of them has a deep quest line. The combat is the best implementation of D&D 5e in any video game. The world reactivity is unmatched. You can resolve almost every encounter with violence, persuasion, intimidation, illusion, or stealth, and the game adapts. $60, often $40 on sale. Patch 10, added crossplay, and 12 new subclasses. The only reason this isn't number 1 is the 2 games above it are doing things even more singular within fantasy. The game most people will tell you should be number 1, defensible. Why? Wrong, but defensible. Number 2, Deathslay, Divinity, Elden Ring, from Software, 2022, Shadow of the Erdtree, DLC, 2024. The open world Souls game that broke from Software out of cult classic territory and into the mainstream while still being uncompromisingly themselves. The Lands Between is the most awe-inspiring open world from Soft has ever built. Sealead will haunt you. Leyndell will stun you. The Hallig Tree will end you. Combat is the cleanest evolution of the Souls formula, with the most generous build variety in the entire series. Stealth Dagger Backstab build, Faith Dragoncaster, Glass Cannon Sorcerer, Bleed Bone Colossal Sword. Mix and match anything. George R.R. Martin world building combined with Miyazaki environmental storytelling produces a setting unlike anything else in the medium. The Shadow of the Erdtree DLC alone is worth the price of admission. Messmer, Bale the Dread, Promised Consort Radahn are among the greatest soft fights ever designed. $60 for base, $40 for the DLC. The only reason this isn't number one is that the game above it has been the genre's gold standard for 10 years. It still holds number one. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. CD Projekt Red, 2015. Gold standard for what an open-world fantasy RPG is supposed to be. I have replayed The Witcher 3-4 times. I'll replay it again. The reason it sits at number one over Elden Ring and Baldur's Gate 3 is the side quest writing. Every single side quest in The Witcher 3 is a short story. The Bloody Baron questline is, full stop, one of the greatest pieces of writing in any video game ever made, and it is technically a side quest. The Witcher 3 asks you moral questions that have no right answer, lets you decide, and makes you live with the consequences 40 hours later. When a character you barely remember dies because of a choice you barely remembered making. Geralt is one of the most complete protagonists in gaming. Yennefer, Triss and Ciri are written like real people, not love interest props. The contracts function as little detective puzzles. And the expansions, Hearts of Stone and Blood and Wine, are each better than most full games. The Hearts of Stone questline with Odin is the best self-contained DLC ever written. Blood and Wine adds a fully open new region, the size of half the base game. $40 for the complete edition. Hundreds of hours of content. The Witcher 3 is fantasy gaming's permanent number one. Locked in. Don't fight me. Drop your favorite Witcher 3 quest in the comments. I'm betting half of you say Bloody Baron. That's the 8. I already know Elden Ring fans are angry. BG3 fans are angrier. Skyrim is on the list next week, and I expect the open world fantasy crowd to come at me again. Tell me in the comments, what's your number one fantasy game? What did I leave off? Pillars of Eternity, Divinity, Original Sin 2, Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, Morrowind, Gothic. I read every comment and I will argue rankings with you. Next deep dive, next week. Nightcall is a one video a week channel focused on niche lists nobody else covers. Subscribe if that's the kind of thing you want more of. Thanks for watching.